In the prior segments, we talked about the Hebrew names Elohim and El Elyon, God in his power, and God Most High in usual English translations. Now we go to the Hebrew phrase which is rendered in most Bibles God Almighty, God as El Shaddai. At this very time, God appears to Abram and reassures Abram that indeed he will have a son, and that he will become father of a multitude. But by what name does he refer to himself now? I am God Almighty, El Shaddai in Hebrew. Actually, Almighty is better rendered all-sufficient. The thought of God's almighty power is already contained in the name Elohim. But perhaps because Elohim is grammatically plural and therefore can be misunderstood, the patriarchs came to prefer the short form, El, especially in tandem or with the word Shaddai. El Shaddai could have no rival. No pagan gods were needed for backup. For this God was sufficient for all human needs, and he would prove his all-sufficiency by performing the impossible, restoring the generative powers of a 99-year-old man and an 89-year-old woman. In the miracle of Abraham, notice the name change, becoming a father of multitudes, we reach the third step of God's self-revelation. So the promise of El Shaddai was fulfilled. Of Sarai, who is now called Sarah, Isaac was born, Jacob from Isaac, and Rebekah, and a nation of 12 tribes through Jacob. But Abraham died, Isaac died, Jacob and the 12 patriarchs too. The nation El Shaddai had promised was now a fact, but it was a captive people, not living in liberty in the land of promise, but in slavery. Egypt, like Canaan, permitted a plurality of gods. Whatever you need, there's a God for you. A veritable supermarket of spirituality, smorgasbord of religious dishes. El Shaddai is okay for Hebrew slaves, but does the God of slaves recommend himself to the royal family of Egypt? Well, life's unanticipated turns take one of the royal family out of Egypt for 40 years. A prince of Egypt who providentially has Hebrew blood. And when a burning bush speaks to this prince, what does it say? I am what I am. Go tell my people, I am has sent me to you. And this God further says to Moses, I am Yahweh, and I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, but by my name Yahweh I did not make myself known to them. Did the patriarchs not know the name? Genesis says they called upon this name in worship. See, for instance, on that issue, Genesis chapter 12 and chapter 15. But the verb to know, which is the crucial Hebrew grammatical issue here, the verb to know in Hebrew is much richer than in English. Adam, we remember, knew his wife. We remember that the patriarchs and their descendants never enjoyed the intimacy with God that they would now enjoy under the designation El Shaddai. They had relationship with God but not intimacy. And now the nation, that is the descendants of the 12 patriarchs, who themselves were descended from Abraham, would enter into a covenant intimacy they had never enjoyed before. So in the next episode, we'll talk about God revealed as Yahweh.